5 more scary ghost stories to keep you awake at night. 1. Edinburgh Castle Hauntings. Perched atop Castle Rock, Edinburgh Castle looms over the city with an imposing presence, its walls steeped in centuries of bloodshed, battles, and betrayal. The castle's history stretches back over 900 years, and within its ancient stone walls lie the stories of countless lives lost and tormented souls that refuse to rest. One of the most infamous spirits haunting Edinburgh Castle is the Headless Drummer. First reported in 1650, his ghostly drumming is often heard echoing through the castle's corridors, signaling impending danger or war. Legend has it that this spirit was a young boy executed during a siege, and his restless spirit now roams the grounds, forever trying to warn of threats that have long since passed. Witnesses claim to have seen the spectral figure of a boy wearing a soldier's uniform, his head gruesomely missing, and the rhythmic beat of his drum reverberating through the stone walls like a pulse from the past. The castle is also home to a ghostly piper, a man who was sent into the underground tunnels beneath the castle to explore them. As he ventured deeper, he played his bagpipes to guide the soldiers above. Suddenly, the music stopped, and the piper vanished without a trace. To this day, visitors have reported hearing the faint sound of bagpipes playing deep underground, as if the piper is still wandering the dark tunnels, searching for a way out. One of the most chilling areas of Edinburgh Castle is the dungeons, where prisoners of war were kept in unspeakable conditions. Chains would bite into their flesh, the air was thick with the stench of death, and many perished within those cold, stone walls. Reports of violent poltergeist activity, sudden temperature drops, and ghostly apparitions are common. Visitors have felt an invisible force pulling at their clothes, heard desperate whispers in the darkness, and seen shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their vision. It's as if the souls of those who suffered there are still trying to make their presence known, crying out for justice or simply seeking an end to their torment. One particularly unsettling ghost is known as the Grey Lady, thought to be the spirit of Lady Janet Douglas, the Lady of Glamis. In 1537, she was accused of witchcraft and conspiring to poison King James V. Despite her pleas of innocence, Lady Douglas was imprisoned, tortured, and ultimately burned at the stake. Visitors claim to have seen a pale, ghostly figure wandering the halls, her face twisted in agony, as if reliving her final, excruciating moments. Edinburgh Castle is a place where history refuses to be silenced. The spirits that dwell here are woven into its fabric, forever replaying the horrors of the past and reminding all who visit that some stories never truly end. 2. The Silent Movie Theater Ghost. The Silent Movie Theater, nestled on Fairfax Avenue in Los Angeles, carries a reputation that transcends its cinematic history, for it's not just famous for showcasing silent films. It's renowned for its resident ghost. Built in 1942, the theater has been the scene of multiple tragedies, each one adding another chapter to its haunted history. The most well-known spirit is that of John Hampton, the theater's original owner. Hampton, a passionate film enthusiast, purchased the theater to screen silent films that he painstakingly restored by hand. But his dedication came at a price. Hampton contracted a fatal disease from the nitrate film chemicals he used, and he died in 1977. Many believe his spirit never left the theater, remaining forever tethered to the place he loved. Employees and patrons have reported smelling cigar smoke, Hampton's signature scent, despite the theater being a non-smoking establishment. Some have even seen a shadowy figure standing in the projection booth, watching over the audience, ensuring that his beloved films continue to run smoothly. But Hampton isn't the only ghost to call this theater home. In 1997, a more violent event unfolded. Larry Austin, who had purchased the theater and renovated it, was shot and killed in the theater's lobby by a hitman over a dispute involving an unpaid loan. The bloodstains were hastily scrubbed away, but the echoes of that night remain. Patrons have felt a sudden chill in the lobby, heard soft whispers calling their name, and even seen a shadowy figure standing in the very spot where Austen was murdered. There's also a lesser-known story of a young woman who, in the 1940s, allegedly fell to her death from the theater's balcony. Though her name has been lost to time, her spirit seems to linger. People have reported seeing a faint, flickering image of a woman in vintage clothing in the balcony area, her eyes locked on the screen, as if waiting for a film that never ends. The silent movie theater stands as a testament to Hollywood's forgotten past, a place where the spirits of those who once lived, worked, and died there continue to perform their ghostly encore. 3. The Devil's Tramping Ground. In the dense woods of Chatham County, North Carolina, there lies a mysterious, perfectly round, barren circle measuring about 40 feet in diameter known as the Devil's Tramping Ground. For over a century, nothing has grown within this eerie circle. The soil remains infertile, and any object placed there is mysteriously moved by morning, as if an unseen force has disturbed it overnight. The legend states that this is the very spot where the devil himself comes to pace in circles, plotting and scheming his next act of wickedness. Locals say that the devil roams the circle at night, his fiery eyes glowing in the darkness, and that the heat from his cloven hooves scorches the earth, preventing anything from growing. Those brave enough to camp overnight at the Devil's Tramping Ground have reported hearing eerie footsteps circling their tent, disembodied growls, and the distinct feeling of being watched. Some have seen strange orbs of light hovering above the ground, and others have awoken to find themselves mysteriously moved several feet from where they originally lay. Animals refuse to enter the circle, and even the most fearless dogs whimper and pull away when brought near. The legend of the Devil's Tramping Ground has been passed down for generations, and despite scientific attempts to explain the phenomenon, no definitive answers have ever been found. It remains one of North Carolina's most enduring mysteries, a place where the veil between this world and the next is said to be thin, and where the devil's restless spirit continues to walk. 4. Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. Bachelor's Grove Cemetery in Cook County, Illinois, is often regarded as one of the most haunted cemeteries in the United States. Established in the early 1800s, it became a final resting place for settlers and has since fallen into disrepair, overgrown with weeds and surrounded by a dense, silent forest. One of the most famous ghosts seen here is the White Lady, often referred to as the Madonna of Bachelor's Grove. Witnesses describe seeing a woman dressed in a white dress, holding an infant in her arms as she wanders the graveyard, her face etched with sorrow. A famous photograph taken in 1991 appears to capture her spectral form sitting on a gravestone, looking forlornly into the distance, as if searching for something, or someone, lost. The nearby lagoon holds another eerie tale. Throughout the years, people have reported seeing a phantom farmhouse that appears in the distance and gradually fades as they approach. It's said that if you ever see this house, you'll be doomed to die shortly thereafter. There are also accounts of ghostly monks dressed in hooded robes who silently march through the cemetery and vanish into the forest without a trace. Grave markers have been mysteriously moved, ghostly lights have been seen floating among the tombstones, and the air is thick with the sensation of being watched. The whispers of the past seem to rise from the earth itself, and the spirits of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery continue to reach out from beyond the grave, refusing to be forgotten. 5. Rolling Hills Asylum. Rolling Hills Asylum in East Bethany, New York, was originally established in 1827 as the Genesee County Poorhouse, a refuge for the county's destitute, mentally ill, and orphaned. Over the years, it also served as an infirmary, tuberculosis hospital, and nursing home. As many as 1,700 people are believed to have died within its walls, and the asylum's vast, dark corridors are said to be haunted by those who suffered there. One of the most well-known spirits is Roy, a 7-foot-tall man with gigantism who was admitted to the asylum in the early 1900s. Despite his intimidating stature, Roy was gentle and kind, and he spent his life wandering the halls. After his death, his spirit remained. Many visitors have reported seeing a tall, shadowy figure in the hallways, or feeling a large hand brush against their shoulder, accompanied by a warm, friendly presence. Another infamous spirit is Nurse Emmy, who allegedly worked at the asylum during its later years. Known for her cruel treatment of patients, it's said that her ghost continues to walk the halls, and some have even claimed to hear the faint jingling of keys followed by a cold, sharp whisper. Rolling Hills is also home to the Shadow Hallway, an eerie corridor where shadowy figures dart from room to room, sometimes appearing as tall, humanoid forms and sometimes as smaller, crawling shapes that seem to scuttle along the floor. These shadows have been witnessed by countless paranormal investigators and visitors, who describe the sensation of being watched, followed, or even touched by unseen hands. The hallway seems to have a life of its own, and many believe it to be a portal to the other side, where the veil between the living and the dead is thinnest. In the asylum's former morgue, eerie sounds such as loud bangs, disembodied voices, and phantom footsteps have been reported. Some visitors have heard their own names whispered back to them, while others have felt an oppressive, almost suffocating presence pressing down on them, as if they were being watched by unseen eyes. Cold spots and sudden gusts of icy wind are common, even in the heat of summer, and many have reported seeing the ghostly outlines of people standing in the corners of the room, only to vanish when approached. Another hotspot for paranormal activity is the psychiatric ward, where patients with severe mental illnesses were kept in isolation. Visitors have described feeling a sudden, overwhelming sense of sadness and despair when entering this part of the building, as if they are experiencing the anguish and hopelessness of those who once lived there. Apparitions of patients in hospital gowns have been seen wandering the hallways, and some have reported hearing distant, echoing screams as if someone were reliving their worst moments over and over again. Rolling Hills Asylum is a place where the past refuses to rest, and where the spirits of the tormented continue to wander, forever bound to the place they once called home. For those who dare to visit, the experience is one that stays with them, a chilling reminder that some souls are simply unable, or unwilling, to move on. Conclusion. These ghostly tales are more than just stories. They are a window into the past, a glimpse into the lives of those who lived, suffered, and died within these haunted locations. Each spirit has a story to tell, a voice that echoes through time, reminding us that the line between this world and the next may be thinner than we think. Thank you for joining us on this journey through some of the world's most haunted places. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the paranormal, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on more chilling tales from the shadows. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and always keep an eye on what might be lurking just out of sight.